History is full of men who conquered the world with swords and fire. But there is one man who saved it with nothing but a plan. Long ago, in the ancient Near East, a young boy was born into a family of shepherds. He was his father's pride, but his brother's shadow. One afternoon, in a moment of pure jealousy, his own flesh and blood threw him into a dark, dry hole in the desert. They didn't kill him, they did something worse. They sold him to a passing merchant train for a handful of silver coins. He arrived in Egypt, the most powerful empire on earth, not as a tourist, but as a property. He was a slave. Later, he was a prisoner, locked away for years in a dark cell for a crime he never committed. Most men would have died there, bitter and forgotten. But this man had a strength that no chain could break. He was a master of the mind and a servant of higher power. His name was Joseph. But what made Joseph different wasn't just his talent, it was his dreams. At 17, he didn't just see a future, he saw a destiny that didn't make sense. He dreamed about the sun, the moon, and the stars bowing down to him. To his brothers, these weren't just dreams, they were insults. They saw a boy who thought he was a king. But for Joseph, these dreams were a heavy weight. You see, a dream from God isn't always a comfort. Sometimes it's a target. Those dreams were the very reason he was thrown into the pit. As he sat in the dark, he had to ask himself, was the vision a dream? Was it a lie? Or is the pit just a part of the process? The very thing that got him into trouble was his dreams, and his dreams became the only thing that could get him out. Joseph's reputation eventually reached the ears of the Pharaoh, who was haunted by a terrifying vision. In the king's dream, seven healthy fat cows were eaten by seven thin skinny cows. Yet, the thin cows remained as hungry as before. Joseph revealed the warning. Egypt would have 7 years of record breaking harvests, followed by 7 years of total world ending famine. He didn't just predict the disaster, he gave the king a solution. He built a system to store massive amounts of grain during the good years so the nation could survive the bad time. In one single day, Joseph went from a prison to the second most powerful seat in the world. He was no longer a slave, he was the Grand Vizier of Egypt. The famine was so severe that it didn't just hit Egypt, it dried up the lands for hundreds of miles around. Back in Joseph's homeland, his family was starving. His brothers, unaware that the boy they sold was still alive, heard that Egypt was the only place on earth with food. They traveled for weeks, finally walking into the palace and bowing before a powerful ruler in Egyptian robes. They didn't recognize him, but he knew. Joseph exactly knew who they were. Joseph had the power to execute them with a single word. Instead, he showed the world what he was truly made of. From his journey, we see the four pillars that defined his life. Number one is resilience. He remained the same man whether he was in a prison or a palace. Number two is integrity. He chose his principles over the easy temptations of power. Number three is excellence. He managed a prison cell with the same care he used to manage a nation. Number 4 is forgiveness. He released the bitterness of his past so he could be the leader of his future. Lastly, what do we learn from Joseph's life? Joseph realized a truth that many of us miss. His pain had a purpose. He looked at his brothers and said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." He didn't see himself as a victim. He saw himself as a tool for the survival of his family and the world. Whether you are struggling with your studies, your career, or your personal betrayal, Joseph shows us that when you manage the small things well in the dark, the world will eventually call you to lead in the light. So I have to ask you all this. If your life was a map and the pit you are in today was just a stop on the way to a palace, would you still be complaining or would you start preparing? Ask yourself today. May God bless you all.